Well, welcome everybody. Today here in the studio I have Matthias Robertson with me. Matthias, can you just put a few words on who are you in relation to SolidWorks?
Yes, my name is Matthias Robertson. I'm working with our simulation products in Euronorth, and I'm covering all kinds of products from structural to fluids. We also have electromagnetism now, so we have a lot of new simulation tools that we need to learn and support.
Exciting. So for us in Edge team, whenever we have issues with the simulation or anything in relation to that, Matthias is the guy that we turn to. So Matthias, today we're going to be talking about SIMULIA, right?
Yep.
Yeah. In Edge team, we talk a lot about simulation in SolidWorks. We talk about flow simulation and plastic as well. When would we need to talk about SIMULIA instead?
Yes, this is kind of new for our SolidWorks users. So we have an extension of our simulation portfolio that is using some other technology based on the Abacus solver, which can do a bit larger problems, more complex physics in general, I would say. So if there is anything that we struggle to do with SolidWorks simulation, we now have tools that probably can solve it in a better way. And this is quite new.
Yeah. Do you have any concrete example on when? What I know, for instance, rubber would be a good example, right?
That's very good. So the problem with rubber is a lot of contacts. It's quite big deformation. So and also the material behavior, depending on how we often compress a rubber sealing or something. There's a lot of big deformation plus with contacts, and we need to solve it in a good way. And that's Abacus solver is outstanding in this area.
Yeah. Okay. So when we have simulations that are too complex to handle in SolidWorks simulation, then we go to SIMULIA instead.
Yeah. That will be.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear. So how do we run SIMULIA works? So normally simulation, we run it on our own desktop PC, right?
Yeah.
I've heard rumors about this 3D experience platform and the SIMULIA works.
Yes,
there, yeah?
That's correct. So it's based on the 3D experience platform, which is a cloud solution. And it is a standalone version, so you don't need to use or occupy a SolidWorks license. You run this standalone. Of course, we open the SolidWorks file, so we can transfer the files into that. And then you run it locally on the machine, but you can also push the simulation to the cloud. And this is kind of interesting to utilize more power, computing power on the cloud.
Yeah.
And this is for free. You have 8 cores on the cloud for free. And then you can scale it up also if you need more computing power.
Really? I didn't know that you had the free cores on there.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting.
Yes.
So you can actually push your own simulations through the cloud, get it computed and get the results back.
Exactly, yeah.
Without your PC actually doing it.
Yeah. So the power is actually up to 144 cores today. And that would be quite expensive machine if you want to buy that hardware. So the idea is to use it when you need it on the cloud. If you need to scale up and need to have more muscles to solve a problem, there's an option to do that on the cloud. But you need to either purchase for the time you're consuming on the cloud, or if you do it often, you can kind of get that as a service. But 8 cores is for free with every license for structural, and 16 cores for fluids today. So you can use more for fluid simulation also there.
Okay. That's good news.
Yes.
News to me at least. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you briefly mentioned fluids and solids here. How is it? Does the SIMULIA cover both fluid and everything that we can in flow and simulation in SolidWorks as well?
Yeah. So the idea is to have a product portfolio that is either in your SolidWorks environment, what we call our desktop products. So you use it in the user interface, or we have standalone versions on the cloud on the 3D experience platform that we have kind of the same functionality, but even more right now with the SIMULIA portfolio there.
Okay, so it will still be separate for flow and structural, for instance?
Yeah, it's
or is the same the same environment that you're
doing? It is the same environment. The user interface is very, very similar.
Yeah.
So it's more like the physics you want to apply to your design.
Yeah.
In the same kind of user interface environment.
Yeah. Okay. So is this what you would call true multiphysics calculations?
Yeah, that's also interesting, because that's definitely where we're going. Yeah. And the brand, the SIMULIA brand, is owning a lot of simulation technology for multiphysics. Mm-hmm. And the long-term strategy is to merge those technology by using it on the 3Experience platform. Today, there's a lot of different silos with different technologies. Yeah. And we're using a lot of technologies today in our simulation desktop, like the SolidWorks Plastic. It's a technology called Simple, a company that Dassault acquired many years ago, that we're using for that. Our topology optimization, that's a Tosca technology that also was...
It's also a pretty good tool to topology study.
Yes, that's pretty good.
Great. Okay. So I know that normally when you purchase, say, a SolidWorks Premium, you get a simulation standard with it.
Yeah.
And then you can add additional packages to that.
Yeah.
How would I go about getting the SIMULIA if I wanted that?
Yes. That's also depending on what your needs. We have 4 structural roles today, depending on if you're kind of an entry level into simulation, or if you're more advanced and then want to have more options, more capabilities, you can scale up depending on your needs and what kind of calculations you want to do. Yeah. And it's a standalone, so you just need the geometry, and you can take it from there.
How would those different roles compare to what I know from the simulation in SolidWorks?
Yes, so
just rough.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, say in SolidWorks we have 2 or 3 levels. I mean, with SolidWorks Standard we have the Simulation Express, that is very limited but very easy to use to get understand what we can do there. And that is kind of the entry level. Also in the SIMULIA world, we have something for designers that could just want to test some very simple stuff. Yeah. And then we have engineers, and that is probably closer to SolidWorks Premium. We have linear static. We can check for stress and deformation. Yeah. And then we have the structural performance linear, where you do non-linear. That is more compared to SolidWorks Simulation Premium.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's kind of the twilight zone of SolidWorks Simulation Professional and Premium, where the SIMULIA product starts.
Yes.
With the vibrations and so on.
Okay, and then from there it's just on top of what we can expect from SolidWorks Simulation.
Yes. Yeah. And the crown jewel is the structural mechanics engineer, where you have everything, and that's the really powerful one. Yeah.
These roles you're talking about, this is roles on the 3DX platform?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so you get the role to the platform, and that would grant you access to the application there.
Yeah, and that's the idea of the whole 3D experience, that depending on your professional role, you buy that role, and that's comes with a lot of functionality or small apps. So you don't pick and choose exactly what functionality you want. This comes as pre-packaged. Yeah. And for simulation, it's kind of what is the physics that you want to simulate? Is it structure? Is it durability for fatigue? Or is it fluids? Or also plastics? Yeah.
Okay, so I actually forgot to ask you earlier. So you just mentioned you mentioned plastics here. So is that a part of the package as well? So you both have the structural, flow, and plastics in one. Yeah.
It's different roles.
Yes. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. But it's all in the SIMULIA package.
Yes.
If you get the correct role.
Yeah.
Great. That's very good to hear.
Yep.
I think that's just about what I had for today. Thank you everybody for tuning in.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Jess.
Thank you.
Ran out of questions.